Hi, Tea Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. And today we are checking out ATEEZ Illusion, and I legitimately had to have a pep talk with myself to calm down. I'm a little bit too excited. It's been a hot minute since I've sat down and checked out some new music from them because I've been working through like KQ Fellas, and I just got sidetracked on that. Also, I'm gonna just be transparent with you guys. I'm a little bit intimidated. I know I was like, I'm gonna go into the storyline and it's gonna be great. And then I actually got to say my name and I'm like, I'm a tad intimidated by it. Not enough to put me off, but just that I got overwhelmed for a second and now I'm back, okay? And I'm too excited for this song. The music videos for this, like we have 3 videos for this particular comeback and album. The thumbnails for all of them look a little bit more like bright and fun, so I'm assuming we're not doing the holidays of it all, right? Still storyline stuff, but it makes me like a little bit more optimistic because again, I've been going through KQ Fellows. The cute aggression that I have for this group has only amplified a lot. So I'm excited to get into the song and see what they have for me this go around. I do legitimately need to calm down. Like it's too much. I need to just center myself. It's fine. Look at the cutie pies. I don't know why they all look super intense. And then there's it's fine. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna be honest with you, I blacked out a little bit because Yosung. We start with Yosung vocals? Okay. Alright, if you need to tell me on a song starting with Yosung vocals, okay, I'm set. We got some posts going on with the vocals. I was like, it seems like bright and fun, but it seems also like we got a little bit of darker tones going on. Love the vocals in the back. The vocals in the back of the ad-libs are so fun, but also just like Hunjung in general just seems to be having a lot of fun. But interesting to bring in some of the stuff with like Illusion, because I'm like, for all of me being like, this seems like it's a little bit of a happier comeback compared to the dark vibes that we got with the previous one. Having a song called Illusion does make me raise an eyebrow of being like, is it actually, or are we just like deviating off? Especially since I've officially, I feel like, stepped into storyline stuff with Say My Name. I know there was other references before that, but that was the most story-driven music video that I'd had up to that point. Before that, it was a lot more in the like performance vein, right? So now I feel like we're getting into some other stuff and it's not quite as gung-ho as like Pirate King and Treasure, right? Of being like, yeah, we're gonna go on this journey and like we're gonna succeed and follow our dreams and you're gonna follow your dreams too. And then we got into the Hala Hala and Say My Name. They're like, oh wait, there's some other stuff going on. There's a little bit more other things we're digging into. And even just the open and close my eyes of, am I dreaming? Like maybe I could wake myself up, but it's actually, I'm still in this place. And other like little ad-libs even. This like call and response. Oh, it's be positive too, like we got to this place that we dreamed of. Oh. Ooh, okay, wait, the build up. There's some crazy like synths coming in for the percussion in this, but there's so much like filter on all of their vocals, which I also feel like is interesting for the idea of like illusion, right? Because we have this strange distortion on their vocals throughout this where like it feels like it's coming through this haze. And I think I've talked about that in some of their other songs where they've used filters on the vocals, about how they used it, felt very strategic about what they were talking about and how it felt like this kind of like illusion or like going through this filter of reality, right? As opposed to like having an unfiltered vocal, which would be very raw and realistic and something that you would hear when you're like face to face with someone. Instead, it's this very processed post on those vocals. So it's like putting this like weird distance and like haziness to the vocals themselves, which I think is really interesting given the concept of an illusion and being in a dream and like not wanting to wake up. There's a little bit of like uneasiness that I feel with the idea of being stuck in like an illusion or a dream, because it just feels like you're kind of abandoning reality for the sake of something that feels like easier or nicer or happier. But it could also just be like, this feels like a dream because we've made it this far, that they've gotten to a second comeback is an accomplishment. The fact that they have had the kind of success that they did is because of that. The kinds of things that they pulled off in the previous comeback were also an incredible step up, in my opinion. I was not expecting first comeback to see such a drastic step up in the kind of like talent and quality of what they were trying to present, right? So it could definitely just be like, oh, this feels like it should be a dream. And if it is, don't wake me up, because we've gotten this far, right? And they're like, where am I? Who are you? Of like feeling somewhat disoriented by the fact that your dream has become a reality, as opposed to just being something that you were like, yeah, we're gonna succeed, we're gonna get there, like we're gonna figure this out, and then getting to a point where it feels like you've actually gotten to some of that, and you're like, oh wait, hang on. Like, for all of the kind of bluster and confidence, that's not the same as actually finding yourself in a position where like things have actually worked out the way that you planned them, right? Or better. But also, again, given storyline things, it does make me a little bit uneasy. Love the breathier vocal there. Ooh, the horns. They're just so cute, okay? They're just so adorable. I'm like having fun with the kind of like beats of this, some crazy like horns in it though, like having kind of that same kind of dark layered of these like horns coming in, which also is what's making me like a little bit split on this one. And like maybe that's like the whole point, to have this like divide, especially going off of storyline stuff. Having a divide of dark and light is definitely something that they've played around with a lot in like their lyrics, but then also going to visuals and all of that, because you have this darker sound with these like horns coming in, which is definitely things that they have used in other songs. These really, I don't know, like almost jarring percussion coming in as well, which are like filling in kind of this darker end that is very much in line with some of their like more darker like sounding songs in production, mixed with this like brighter sound, this like hopeful sound in their delivery of the vocals and like the lyrical content. So it's like there's this strange undercurrent of darkness to what they're talking about, like a dark side to it. Even them talking about like nighttime, right? Oh, eventually the sun will rise, right? And some of that's getting to a brighter future. Some of that we're going to go into the next stage, right? Where we get this sunrise and all of that. And they've definitely played around with like Twilight. They have a whole song, right? And sunsets and stars, and embracing these like strange like liminal spaces in time. But also here it's them talking about being in that night and partying and rejoicing and like having fun and letting themselves be part of that dream. But also like the night is dark, right? The night is dark and cold and quiet and has a lot of other kind of like ominous images with it. It's a little bit more in that place of like illusions, right? If we're going into a lot of like literary images that come along with like nighttime and like why night is used in specific forms of media, it's a lot more in that place of entities that can play tricks on you, on your mind, or things that aren't actually there, right? I think we've all had moments where we've been like woken up at night and you like a strange shadow and you've convinced yourself that's like some kind of strange entity, right? Maybe it's just me. I have anxiety. Okay. If I can panic about something, I will. And then saying there's going to be like light on the other side of it. Again, like this strange like back and forth, this like light and dark, but a little bit more present in both places. I feel like before it was a little bit of a more of this like seesaw effect of going back and forth between dark and light, whereas this feels more of this like strange mixture of those two things coming together. Also, I've noticed that like San a lot of the time has lyrics that are like follow me or take my hand or whatever, which I just think is cute. I like that that's like his role. And some of the line distribution is to just have the cute lines about like taking our hand and all of that.
별이 보여서 올라타 그 위에 빛이 따라 돌고 돌아나 아 뜨거운 난 누굴 달아내 볼 앞이 펴려다 난 따라 들어왔네 후 죽었다 살았다 반복해 계속 누구도 억지로 맞춰 지나쳐 초록빛 태양 아래서 눈부셔 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 부셔
They're having so much fun with the vocal delivery, all of them, and I love that so much. Am I gonna have to go through all of these lyrics? Yes, I am. Okay, there's something about like Mingy lyrics that I'm like, hang on, give me a second to actually go through lyrics. Okay, we got like stars, again, is interesting. Star imagery, again, like nighttime, but points of light, wishing on stars, navigation. But it's like on the ceiling, so they're like, again, illusion. They're not actual stars because they're not in the sky. And like a ceiling means that there's like something blocking you off, right? We've had before them talking about rising up into the sky or into space or into like other galaxies, and that like cosmic imagery as them like rising above and having this limitless potential into the future, right? Whereas this is like talking about a ceiling, right? Which is a separation from that. So again, there's like this strange, ominous feeling of, oh, it might feel like this is something that we are succeeding in, being in like this dream or like being in this suspended space that feels brighter or better or more fun or makes us happy or whatever, but it's a dream, it's an illusion. It's like trapping and containing us within that space as opposed to us like being in reality where there's like a limitless potential. Maybe even go around and around, cyclical, getting stuck in place as opposed to venturing out. Lots of imagery in their music about like journeys and voyages and being in motion. And then this is like being stuck in like a circle, which is like going around and around and not actually getting anywhere. Yeah, even though like in front and behind me, like this feeling of being like stuck in a place and not being able to see beyond it. I was interested in this, like dying and living, it keeps on repeating. Again, dark, light, dying, living, those two kind of contrasting things of like joy and like this ominous undertone, and repeating again of something being like being stuck in a cyclical motion. No one's forced to make sense of it all. Even like blue sun is interesting because that's blue is not usually what we associate with sun and sunlight. So again, like this ominous feeling and like blinding, which is like not seeing in darkness again, or something obscured. I may speak as somebody who needs a little bit of help in the sight department, like something that is blurry and unclear and a certain like vibrance taken out of it. Even though there's like this fun delivery to their vocals, there's a bright delivery to it. Even just having the post on it adds like a certain like interesting, fun element to it. And yet when you start to dig into like the lyrics and some of the other instrumentation that they're choosing, there's this strange ominous feeling of being stuck in place. Am I reaching? I don't know. Ooh, I was just thinking, sorry, storyline things. I know we're going to probably get into that more with music video, but the box, right, that we had in Say My Name, which is like being stuck in a place, doorways, light versus darkness. I'll keep it. We'll come back. Even these like fun synths are very like staccato. Like they got a bounce to them. I love them. I don't know why. Seems something like stuttering in the instrumentation. Ooh, I love the way that the production shifted there, but like again, there's almost this like stuttering in some of the production, like this start and stop. Again, these like dark elements coming through, some softer moments, even just like having the contrast of Sunghwa's voice a bit softer and lighter in his delivery here, and then someone like Hunjung who has like a more pingy, bright voice, right? It has a jarring feeling to transition between those two, and then go into having someone like Mingyu delivering some of the vocals in the chorus. He has a bit more of an aggressive forward sound to his, right? Like there's a little more projection to his voice. It definitely stands out compared to some of the other vocalists. So instead of having this kind of like dreamy sound to the song, which I feel like would fit with what they're going for with like illusion and dreams and night and choosing to be in this place that feels like whimsical and dreamy, instead we're getting these like jarring shifts in vocal tones and these contrasts contrasts in the instrumentation. Because again, like illusion, they could have called it something else, right? Illusion is like something that you see that isn't actually there. And it's like intangible, right? And again, am I new here? Yes. But I just assume intention. So I very much feel like the decision to call this song Illusion was a very intentional choice of words there. Bop, though. I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't. It's a fun song. I love the delivery of their vocals, that they're just like having a bunch of fun with these like vocal runs, and the little vocals in the back are super cute and interesting too. But like, it's again, this like contrast between these two things, this like call and response, almost like echo. I'm gonna let it play. I have so many thoughts though, and I'm like, am I anywhere in the right vicinity? I don't know. I'm just getting vibes. Ooh, well, okay, several things. One, we finally got some clean vocals, right? We finally have the post taken off of them in that part, which is really interesting to me. Loved the vocal melody that we had from Jungho there. Talking about like walking on the sea as opposed to, we've talked about like floating on the surface before. Okay, I've talked before about like being at sea levels. Again, them talking about this imagery of rising above on the iridescent sea. I want to go back through lyrics one more time, just because I'm like, if we're getting cleaner vocals, I feel like the contrast there is intentional. Love the vocalizations. Okay, we have Hold Hands again, which is definitely something that we've talked about in their other songs. But I think maybe the main thing for me is Yeosang's line, interestingly enough, having him start off the song too. But should I draw my more fantastic dream? I feel like that might be where we're coming from with the contrasting vocals, is like this moment of introspection of, should I dream bigger than this? And then having the direct contrast with San's line of, everything is beautiful here, of, should I want more than this place that I'm currently stuck in, that feels like a dream, that feels like it's wonderful and fantastic and everything is beautiful? Or should I go after what I actually want, what my actual dream is? Right? The contrast of a dream as in an illusion, something that's being made up, something that is not real or tangible, and then having a dream, right? Which is like having aspirations, having plans, having a vision of what the future could be that just hasn't come to fruition yet. So it has this feeling of like maybe the contrast of staying still, especially like I've said, they've had some good successes up to this point, right? Second comeback. People are talking about them. They did a great performance. The stuff that I've seen from the previous comeback, getting some traction, actually proving that they have a bit of staying power in the industry despite all of the kind of starts and stops and switching around from companies that they had up to this point as like individual members, not as a group. Just clarify that I do know that. Getting to this point of, could they settle for this? The point that they're at right now is a lot better than some groups get, is probably a lot more than a lot of people around them said that they would get to, is definitely like good enough in comparison to what they had before. And it's always scary to take the next step, but it has this feeling of, should I just settle for staying here? Maybe that's where we're coming from, of them as musicians. Obviously there's probably storyline stuff that is like separate and doing its own thing, but for their experience as ATEEZ as a group, this contrast of, do we settle for where we're at and not try to push things that may crumble and fall, right? What if we just stay where we know we can succeed, where we know it is comfortable and everything is beautiful? Or do we reach further? And it's like I was saying with like Mingi's verse of having a ceiling, of like feeling contained within a space, as opposed to some of the other imagery that we've got from his lyrics in previous songs. Should we just stay here and accept that there's a ceiling, right? Put the ceiling up and stay in this like comfortable inside space and go around in circles and just keep doing the same things because we know how it works. It's comfortable. It's safe in a lot of ways. Or do we reach further? Maybe? I don't know. I'm gonna let him finish up. love that clap coming in too. Vocal. Ooh, even though like voice calls let me free. I just noticed that. Ooh. Oh, I love that. I love that we had the let me free, like I was talking about. Do we stay where we are in this place that feels like we're stuck? Or do we break out of it? Even like having the like layers of multiple voices and then going into will you follow me is like a lot of time them talking to ATEEZ, right? Them talking to their fans of, hey, if I continue forward, if I don't accept staying in this one place where things are comfortable running in circles, if I keep reaching forward, are you going to come with me? If I take the risk, are you still going to hold my hand and come along with me? And I think that's such an interesting thing to bring into it. And again, probably get into storyline stuff with like visuals in the music video. And there's definitely this feeling of like illusions and playing around with other things and like containment and all of that in that as well. Just for them as like musicians, that must be scary too, to be like, to see a certain amount of success and to be like, do we stick to the formula or do we break out of it? And they've, from what I've seen, and again, not a ton from them so far as I'm working through their stuff, they've always stepped outside of what the formula is and done their own thing, gone their own way, taken their own path. And even though they've done that, they've gotten success, they've gotten enough traction to get to a second comeback. And I think it's interesting to have this feeling of, all right, do we risk it? Do we keep going? Do we keep reaching forward and going to those heights that we always dreamed of? Or do we settle for what's here because it's safe and it's comfortable and it's predictable? Right? I think that we all have those moments of hesitation on like the edge of something where you've taken the leap and landed somewhere and you're like, okay, you're a little bit shaken from the leap before and you're like, what if we just stay here for a little bit? What if we just set up camp and don't take any more risks for a little while? And it feels a little bit like that, of this like strange, like on the edge of, do we leap again? Do we take the next big step? And if we do, are you going to follow us? Or do we stay where we're at and do what will probably be like comfortable and successful for us? I think that's a really interesting concept to bring into this. And just like the imagery of the blue and the purples, then we had pink later on. Fascinating, especially to go into this next album and all of the releases that are coming. A couple things besides the fact that I've been here an absolute eternity, because I cannot for the life of me contain myself when it comes to ATEEZ. Just accept it. One, we have another album within this like treasure set. We have Finn, which given about what that's going to be. But I also think if we're dealing with this whole, do we break out of the formula? Do we do something different? I also think that's really interesting that we begin with Yeosang vocals, because previously not a ton of lines with him, usually a little bit later in the songs. And I also know just from chatting with some people that he has a little bit of a give and take when it comes to how he feels about his vocals, especially early on in them performing. So having him start a song, I think, is also really interesting, going into that concept of, do we stick to the formula? Do we stick to what we know and what is comfortable? Or do we deviate? Do we do something different? Do we step out of our comfort zone? I think that it's interesting to have. Even the next line is Wooyoung, right? Also someone who hasn't had a ton of lines in previous songs up to this point. So I think that it's interesting to have that be who we're starting the song off with, just in terms of vocals. Anyway, love the pearls that you have going on, darling. Again, piratey things, pearls. Love the like orange red hair that we got going on. It's good. I'm procrastinating like a little bit because I feel like the visuals are gonna take over. We have a map again. Anyway, we're all sleeping. All right, because I'm too invested in storyline things. If you don't like pausing, leave now, because that's what this is all gonna be. Okay, I'm just wondering about why we have certain people together. You have a compass, Captain, but also in the previous Say My Name, we had who had like compass and navigation maps and all of that. I know that some people said that there was like stuff earlier on that they were supposed to have like specific roles, and that kind of got scrapped or retconned at some point. But having the captain have like the maps and this compass and stuff, but then we also have Jungho, so I'm interested like why these two, we got like pairs maybe. Beautiful like pink glass. We're in the sky. which is very different than being in a desert. We're still not technically in an ocean though. Sky Pirates! Wait, I just registered that like earlier on I was like, I had better get Sky Pirates. I'd better get Space Pirates. I had better get something that feels like Treasure Planet, and I feel like we're like watering into that. I'm so excited. I just need to like not hit my mic. I need to calm down. Interesting that we have the telescope as well near Jungho. I love the graphic. Sorry, his facial expressions. Sorry, I was looking at Yuno's cute little face and I got distracted at his cute little smile. But we had like a map that was like looked up like the world. But isn't this like also with like the map and compass? Again, pairings. I'm not gonna get distracted by you, Captain Sir. Cute little heel move there. Oh my gosh, be careful on the edge of that shit. Okay. Ooh, I like how the stickers going on. I like the graffiti. I noticed some of that before. We had the treasure title, and we have Jungho with the spyglass again. But this looks like we have like a blank sheet, which I also think is interesting. But I was just looking at, was it say Lost Found on his shirt? Was that mean anything? I don't know. Are we falling? Are you okay? Sorry, there's a lot to look at. But I think it's interesting that we have Jungho, who seems to be okay. It looks like it's part of the telescope. So we have the telescope and the like eyeglass, like looking at a distance. We have the binoculars with Yosung, right? Be careful. Ooh. Ah! All right, you can't show me all of these visuals and not expect me to go back. This is so cute. Like, again, Illusion. We have the blue sun in the actual graphics, but like them not actually being in the clouds anymore, I think is really interesting. I love the little like run movement that they have. It's super cute. They're so cute, little faces. The song is extra. I love that. Just looking, we got like the map of the world, some kind. Tropical. We got some kind of map thing going on. Just looking at everything. Don't mind me. We could just, again, navigation with, does Sun have the binoculars now? Hang on. Ooh, we got the mask from ATEEZ, which is interesting. And the cube. Again, I talked before about the glass, like, enclosure that we had them in Say My Name. So I think it's just, oh, we got the hat too. Again, suspicious about like why we're in this particular illusion. Even the hourglass. We also had them in Say My Name at the tables with all the different like maps and papers and stuff. So that also raises an eyebrow. But I think this is interesting to have like, the sphere and it's like flipping it, right? Having that mirroring effect, I think is also interesting because we have like that duality with the storyline anyway, but then also like this dark versus light, this reality versus not. Even like I was thinking the map before, how it looked like it was blank, how they talk about in like dreams you can't read. So I think that's also interesting, like that when they actually try to like navigate with the map or like whatever they're trying to navigate with it like gets obscured in that moment. What a cutie pie. Ooh, now the ship looks like it's not actually there. Interesting to have all like the animation, like we have wave on it as well, and the sun painted on it. Also, like Mingi's shirt says face, so we have the again like they're writing on their shirts like lost, found, face.
위에 빛이 따라 돌고 돌아 나
I feel like him standing on that table is precarious with a chandelier.
죽었다 살았다 반복해 계속 누구도 억지로 맞춰 지나쳐 초록빛 태양 아래서 눈부셔 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 부셔
The choreo looks really cute. Oh my gosh. Who let Wooyoung have fire? I noticed the matches before and I was like, that seems like a bad idea. With the like magnifying glass.
초록빛 태양 아래서 눈부셔 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 부셔 꿈을 꾸는 듯해 제발 don't wake me up
Just have the headphones. Jungkook seems to have like magnification of some kind, right? Like we have the spyglass, the like telescope, the magnifying glass here, like him trying to see things that are at a distance, especially with like illusion. So trying to see past the mirage. They're so into that move. It's so cute. Love that like activation from Jungkook behind him. Cute. Ooh, you cannot just throw a bunch of stuff at me and expect me not to go back and look at the visuals. Okay, map. I think it's interesting that we have the quill too. Ink and quill. We had, you know, they're blurred, not in focus. Switching the... Interesting that we have the switch of the hourglass. And then we have this shot where they're out of focus, but the hat isn't. I trust nothing. And then again, the table with all these different things on it. I feel like I'm supposed to pay attention. Is it like a dragonfly or something? Then we have the island where they talked before about like being on an island. I've talked about how it felt like them being like, oh, we can like, take a little break, right? We found solid ground that we can just stay on for a little bit, celebrate the fact that we've made it this far in our journey and reconnect before we set sail again. So I think it's interesting that we have that coming in for the latter part of the song. Ooh. Their facial expressions in this choreo is so cute. Ah! They're so cute. You're sucking Bingy. Sorry. I got distracted by Jungkook being really cute there. Look at his cute little face! What a darling. But I just back reading his shirt. Interesting that it's like upside down again, like this mirror. Flipping upside down. Ooh. Again, this like obscured view. The Dutch angle too. So cute. Also, another prayer for Yeosung's knees. Dancing on sand again. Ooh, choreo. That's jump spin. Ooh, the darker coloring there. Ooh, see what I just say? Even the metallic on the sides, right? That feels a little bit more in that kind of like industrial vibe that we got with the Say My Name. And you're definitely a ATEEZ at the end of this tunnel. And the mirror, again, flipping. I think that's so interesting. Like them thinking maybe that they were in like a dream or like the place that they're supposed to be. Maybe stuff that we saw in Treasure and Pirate King, right? Earlier on. And then realizing that, oh, actually, no, we're in like whatever dimension or world or whatever that ATEEZ is that we had before too. Like again, this like switching between these two kind of gates, right? We had the like archways in the museum that they were in, and I was like, I don't trust the liminal spaces of going through something like an archway. Maybe it's just like my Celtic background, but I'm like, never go over a threshold. You're gonna end up in the other world. You're gonna end up having to deal with she. So like automatically I'm like, I don't trust that. And even like the containment that I was talking about, like being in those glass boxes with all like the smoke and stuff in it, which was also blue, wasn't it? We've talked about blue sun. Even just the rapid switching of scenes is, again, like a bunch of information that like I'm going back through to catch, right? But if you were going through real time in the music video, it would be like too much to like really pick up on those things, like those clues of, oh, this second shot is everything's out of focus except the like hat from ATEEZ, right? Ooh, okay, we're getting into this stuff, but I also think I was saying before, oh, they're so into this and like their facial expressions are super fun, but that could also be like, again, like the illusion of not realizing that this isn't actually like real, getting stuck in that. Didn't we have the mirror? This is Yosung, right? Didn't we have the mirror and Say My Name with him as well? And now we have the water reflection. And then here it's like everything is got like the lights, like the lamps. And again, like that hazy, like smoke that we had in the boxes. You look like you're in the same place, but different lighting, which we also had in Say My Name, where I'm like, this looks like you're in the same like place, but the lighting is different. So I'm like, okay, timelines or dimensions or both. Again, these are questions that I'm just asking. Please don't put spoilers in my comments. If you put spoilers in my comments, I'm gonna be so sad because I'm gonna have to hold my videos back because I don't want spoilers. But I'll definitely put something in my comment section and be like, don't do it. Just asking questions out loud, because again, if I don't say it, then no one's gonna know what I'm thinking. That's what I mean. I'm a little overwhelmed, okay? I'm too invested. Even like the shadows coming in. Anyway, like all of the Dutch angles. Everything's wrong. Ooh, sorry, the like horseshoe, again, like luck, but it's upside down. And anyone who doesn't know, if you want a horseshoe to be lucky, it has to be right side up. So this one is like spun the other way. That's like bad luck instead. Ooh, side profile though. Anyway. See, they look way less happy and expressive when the illusion breaks. You just not throw a wow in there. I love it, like throwing catch. Hang on, they're super cute, but I also know it's illusion. Their facial expression lit. They're so cute. I can't. But then in contrast to the illusion like breaking, and we're like serious. Ooh! Were we dreaming here the whole time? Is that Mingy with the headphones again? Open your eyes. Do not whisper at me. Wait! I think I'm not gonna go through everything at the end here, like I'm not here investigating, like I'm some kind of detective. Of course I'm going to go back through it. Okay. Interesting to have them like run through the tunnel, where at the end we had the ATEEZ person. Not sure which one. And then we see them in other places. We got the headphones here too, but Mingy had the one scene where he was on the boat and he had the headphones on, and it looks like he has them here too. Again, who's paired up and who isn't? Why are you by yourself? At least you're near water. That's new for these music videos. We got someone in the car. Who do we have? Trying to say, you know, maybe I'm like, who are we missing? Because we had San, you know, and Jungho. Then wasn't it Mingy on his own? And then we have Hunjung. Do a head count. It's like somewhere, well, it looks like a road, which is concerning. Sunghwa. Are we missing someone? This person has to either be Yuno or Wooyoung. We're missing someone. What does that mean? And why do I feel like it probably is more likely that it's Wooyoung? Because he's got the thing with the mirrors. And we did have we had the one ATEEZ person. So was like one of them in disguise? Was one of them pretending? Then what happened to the real one? Who did we have wasn't it? I think it was Yosung, where I was like, I don't know which one you are in one of the parts of the Say My Name. But unless my head count is wrong, we're missing someone. And I feel like they would have made it easy for me to figure out there was supposed to be another person. Because then we just have Sunghwa, opens his eyes, wakes up. No, I'm invested. Okay. No, I feel like that's going to come back. We're going to have to figure that out. I feel like, wait, am I missing a clue? But who it could be? I was like, I need a group shot for me to see what's going on. Hold, please. Group shot. I feel like it could be Yuno too who's missing. I need to know who's in that car. Because Yuno has the whole, like, navigation thing, so he could have wandered off on his own. I just feel like it makes more sense for it to be Wooyoung though. Unless I'm completely wrong. Unless I'm just like not recognizing people properly. No, I have so many thoughts. Sorry, I had to go on a bit of a side quest for a second. Did I miss something? And I don't want to be here longer than the eternity that we are already here. But definitely threw me for a loop at the end. I do feel like I was onto something with the song, though, of me being like, oh, this feels like we are stuck somewhere. And that definitely is what the music video seems like it was going into, of them being in this pretend place. And I love that it like got more and more obvious that it wasn't a real place. Like it got further and further from reality as it went on, right? Like it started off looking a lot more realistic, and then we had the sky got all cartoony, and then the ship got all cartoony, and like their expressions got more and more exaggerated as it went along. So all of that felt like you could see how fake everything was more and more as they went along, until we entered that place where they had the like sheer fabric everywhere, and then seeing, oh, this is all just like lights and props and illusions, right before they find the hallway that they end up running down. And like at the end, they seem to be like coming out of whatever that dream or illusion is. And I still feel like we're missing someone. Maybe I'm miscounting, maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like I'm not. I feel like I have a bit of a habit of doing a head count anyway when it comes to storyline things and pairings and all of that. So I'm like, even before Say My Name, I'm like, do I need to keep track of who seems to be in and around the same places? Because that seems to be a whole thing. And I'm like, Young seem to be isolated. So I'm like, I feel like it makes more sense to me, given what I know at this point, storyline wise, for him to be the one that's missing. But I could be wrong. I need to know who's in that car. And maybe I'm not supposed to fully know yet. Maybe I'm supposed to go into the other music videos and other storyline things, and then I'll have a better idea of it. But obviously I'm invested. I think the song is super fun. I think that probably watching the choreo for this is super fun, because if they're giving even part of the kind of energy and fun that they were bringing into this, obviously for storytelling wise, it's supposed to be like really over the top and like cartoony in the way that they're performing. But I feel like if they're going to bring that into a live performance and just have fun with the song and to be like performing on stage, that would also just be like really fun. And I know they can be super expressive. Usually it's demon line coming for me, but it would be nice to see them be super expressive just because they're being cute and adorable. That would be a nice change of pace. So I'm excited to be able to check out more stuff from this comeback and all of that, because definitely intrigued. I'm definitely entrenched in everything that is coming with storyline things and all of that. But I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this playlist to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post an ATEEZ reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.